radio is AD on the radio.
Today on the show, we hang out with our friend Randal Reeder, star of Grandma's Boy, Harold and Kumar, Deadpool, Idocracy, Walker Texas Ranger, and more. He joins us to talk about being a Texas conservative in Hollywood and how an Estonian wife has changed his worldview. Plus, the fact that Jared Leto won't be the next Joker.
Wait, no Jared Leto? You gotta be joking.
Not joking.
Leto or my Joker?
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
You know, as long as we've been friends with him, as long as he's been coming on the show, doesn't matter. Every single time Randal Reeder shows up, not only is he the star of movies like Deadpool, he was also in Undateable. You saw him in 21 Jump Street. You saw him heard him in King of the Hill. And not only that, you've seen him alongside the great Chuck Norris in Walker, Texas Ranger. But I just realized, were you in that movie, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell?
Was.
You played a bouncer. It got ugly. It was awesome. I just realized. It's so funny because I just realized it. I just put it together.
Yeah, I'm everywhere, man.
Well, welcome to the show, Randal Reeder. We are so happy to have you here again. Yay!
Dude, I'm always happy to spread my not so humble opinion.
All right. Okay. We have some nerdy things to throw down on today with. Have you become like a nerd icon here? Because I mean, you were in movies like Idiocracy, you were in things like King of the Hill, which gives you were in Grandma's Boy, that gives you some nerd cachet. But since Deadpool, do you find that you've got a new and entirely more nerdy contingent of a fan base?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. But nerds aren't. The nerds of this century aren't the nerds of the last century. So, it's funny. Nerds look like bikers and all kinds of stuff these days. My nerdy people that I get recognized, they're comic book nerds. Comic book nerds are badasses sometimes,
Yeah, the whole your immortal line, sucks to be you nerd, in Grandma's Boy doesn't necessarily apply anymore. The nerds have actually, as it turns out, inherited the earth. I think I saw that guy Neil deGrasse Tyson say it all started to shift when computers became a thing, and all of a sudden there was a perceptible change in the distribution of power in the universe. Once computers started being something on which the rest of the world hinged, everybody needed a nerdy friend to help them figure out their computer. And he said it was from there that everything started to change for nerds. And now I think it's a kind of telling statement on the fiscal position of the nerd, and something you might relate to as well, being in the world of show business. I think I read somewhere recently that the cast of Big Bang Theory is paid significantly more than the cast of Game of Thrones.
Wow. Yeah, it's very possible, man, but it's an interesting thing. I was reading a bio for a show I was putting together, and one of the kids is a nerd, and he wrote, he was writing about himself being a nerd, and he said, if I wasn't born if I wasn't alive today, I would be destined to be a virgin until I was 40. And I mean, even 21 Jump Street kind of touched on it when they were walking in to the school, and he's all like single strapping with the badass car, and then all of a sudden, everybody starts getting at him. Like, dude, do you know how many gallons do you get, per mile? I mean, that's don't you care about the environment? And he was totally uncool. But the reality is, what's even funnier is we were in New Orleans filming that, and we're in this banquet, filming the prom scene, and me and D-Ray are running from Channing and oh my God, from help me, my buddy. It's early in the morning. Hold on, I'm gonna drink coffee. The other charge. the actual nerd who is my buddy. Somebody help me.
I don't know. We're all stumped.
The star of 21 Jump Street.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah. Oh,
Jonah. So Jonah.
I thought you.
I've only done a couple movies with him. He's my buddy. But anyway, so Jonah and Channing are chasing through the crowd. So
when you were searching for a name, I didn't think it could possibly be Jonah Hill because I was like, well, it can't mean Jonah because he's like the star of the picture. But okay.
Yeah, it's beyond. So anyway, so we run by these girls, and then we pass camera, D-Ray and I, and we stop, and then we kind of cheat back towards closer to camera, and then come Channing and Jonah running through the crowd. And these girls off camera said, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. He just touched me. I cannot believe I'm this close. He's so sexy. And I'm just like, yeah, I know. Channing's hot. And then she just keeps on and keeps on. She says, I can't believe I'm here with Jonah Hill. He's so sexy. And she never mentioned Channing.
Wow, nerds really have inherited the earth.
I just couldn't. I'm like, wow, times have changed since '83.
Let's start the show.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So our guest on the show today is actor extraordinaire, unbelievable cook, and all-around nice guy, the great Randal Reeder, star of movies like Deadpool and 21 Jump Street, and, well, my personal favorite, Grandma's Boy. That's going back a bit, and I'm skipping over large portions of your IMDb page if I do that. But you know what? I got to tell you, you were Big Bob, and you are now, obviously, because of the Deadpool movie, Fat Gandalf. But would you say it's the Grandma's Boy reference that gets shouted at you most in the street?
A lot, believe it or not. Definitely a lot. I would definitely go with the sandwich,
right.
That's usually what gets shouted at in the streets.
The radio unfriendly sandwich.
You're walking down the streets of Honolulu and people are just yelling that from cars passing by. You realize that you've made your mark on the world at that point.
Now, your wife, Kate, she's from Estonia, right?
She is.
And was she privy to all the sort of like pop culture references that you were a part of? Like, was that like when people shout that stuff in the street? I mean, obviously, Fat Gandalf is more recent, but when someone shouts sea meat sandwich as you walk down the street, did you have a little explaining to do?
Yeah. I had a little bit of explaining to do at first. So she's now, I think, seen most everything that I was in and kind of gets it, and certainly gets the iconic ones like that. So.
Right.
It wasn't Kate that was the problem with that being shouted out. It's when you're with your mom and they're like, oh, you're the sea meat sandwich guy. That's why, people look at me kind of funny. They go, oh, you were Fat Gandalf. Oh, no offense. I'm like, hey, man, when you've been the sea meat sandwich guy for a decade, you welcome Fat Gandalf. Trust me.
Very, very good. Well, the other thing that's interesting about Randal is because of his film career, Randal is in sometimes the tough position of being a Texas conservative living in Hollywood. And I love you for a bunch of reasons. One of those reasons is the fact that when it comes to your beliefs, you've got this. You know what? I found all the best people can do this. All the most productive people can do this. You have this beautiful way of sticking to your guns, sticking to your beliefs while still managing to get along with everyone. And the stuff that you believe, even when it's different from what other people think, comes out in a very loving way. And because people know that you come from a place of love and respect, I find that when you talk, people are more apt to listen. How are things now for you in Hollywood, given what you hold dear and what you believe to be true?
I think that I'm ill affected negatively by it. Some in social media, I mean, you get attacked and stuff like that. But honestly, when I'm arguing with like a liberal friend on social media or debating or whatever you want to call it, and expressing our opinions, I'll get pounced by his friends sometimes, and they'll go really, vitriol after me. And usually my liberal friends end up defending me, saying, "Oh, wait. Randy, Randall's a good guy. Like, stop that, so, I mean, it's just it's gotten mad. I mean, it's insane, but, ultimately there still are, at least I embrace everyone else's opinions, I mean, I don't agree with socialism and stuff like that, but I at least want to hear them out, and it's real arguments from real people often. Sometimes it's not. And, I mean, it's like the old saying, I think Ben Carson quotes it a lot, if you agree with me on everything, then you're kind of useless to me. That's a paraphrase of it. So I actually like people with different opinions, because that's where the truth is found, is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you hit on something really cool. I never really understand why just politicians in general. I mean, there must be a reason to it. It must win somehow in ways that I'm not privy to. But this whole thing where you get into a large room full of people and they all agree with you and they cheer for everything you say. For me, if you're a politician and you're on the hunt for voters or support for legislation you're trying to pass or an election you're trying to win or any of the above, doesn't really seem like you're breaking any new ground and you're converting anyone new to your cause when you just go hang out with a bunch of folks that absolutely think you're right about everything all the time. It's a much more productive way to go through life, to be around folks that A, you're going to learn a little bit from, and B, you have a chance of, winning them over to your cause. Not that you have, a cause that you're trying to win people over to, but same principle, like being surrounded by folks that agree with you on every last point. It's kind of boring and it doesn't get much done.
Yeah. I mean, everything should be a negotiation in politics. I mean, that's what's wrong with American politics, is whoever's got the club is beating the other side. And it really should be, okay, we disagree with Obamacare. We understand there's a need out there. So let's sit down and see if we can come up with something in the middle here that doesn't cause my friends Wayne and Wendy to jump from a $400 deductible to a $5,000 deductible, which happened, but that also still takes care of the needs of the people that don't have, that don't have a job or don't have a good job, And the problem is no one's trying to do that. Nobody's really trying to, to solve everyone's problem. They're only trying to solve the problem of the people that vote for them. So it's horrible. Money making, skills on the mic, we paid every day, and for part of the battle, just back down, better act like you know.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
So our guest on the show today, you know him from so many movies. You know him from Grandma's Boy, Harold and Kumar, Deadpool. You know him from Walker, Texas Ranger, Idiocracy, King of the Hill, and so much more. Our guest on the show today is our friend Randy Reeder, who is, well, this is kind of an interesting one because, as we were saying earlier, you are in the sometimes difficult position of being a Texas conservative living in Hollywood, where people are rather staunch in their beliefs. And you have this amazing way of getting along with everyone that we were talking about, which I think is cool and I think is the way forward. But it was interesting because when we had Chuck D from Public Enemy on the show, in the run up to the election, we did this thing called Punk Rock Politics, where we talked to as many different people as we possibly could that were in entertainment about politics and the election. We said, what's the best piece of advice you could give somebody in 2017? And he was like, get a passport, see the world, understand that it doesn't begin and end with you. Just understand how other people live. Now, one thing that I thought might have been an interesting piece of perspective for you is your beautiful Estonian wife, Kate, who we were asking if you knew if she was familiar with all your work, the pop culture references that get screamed at you in the street. When someone screams, sea meat sandwich or fat Gandalf, did she know what's up? And she's now seen everything that you've done. But for you, look, there could not be a more different place to the United States of America in many ways than Estonia. So being married to someone from a different country and seeing their take on what's happening and has happened in America, has that affected the way you look at the world at all?
No, I've learned nothing from my woman. No, you know what? I'll tell you what, it's actually pretty interesting. One, I like that it's interesting that you call me a Texas conservative, which really is probably a great description for me, because to me, that is kind of a sane libertarian. A Texas conservative is, not like a Texas Tea Party conservative or whatever, but because we really care about or at least I, and I can't. Here I am trying to identify with a party that doesn't exist that you just created, but
right. You're welcome.
I care about personal freedoms and all that over everything else. Now, with bringing my wife into the fold, it's very interesting because she, left Estonia, after high school and went to Paris for 2 years and then Sydney for 5 years and then LA, and that's where we met and all this. And yeah, it is interesting, living with someone that's from Europe in America, now who's now in America, looking at these, these political debates, and she's just like, wow, this is so unbelievable. And as I look into Estonia particularly, I saw something the other day that was reading about that. It said it's the most libertarian country in the world.
No kidding.
And so, yeah, it is very interesting. They really make a lot of things work over there. And I think some of that, one is because they're kind of isolated and they're, a little bit isolated, but also they're very tech savvy and they're a new country. They're really only, I don't even know, 20 years old or something, basically. They're a new system after breaking away from the Soviet Union and everything. So, it's interesting. They vote online. They have a small bureaucracy. Everything works really well. And it's very interesting. I've really been looking at that a lot and going, wow, what could we do to implement that here? Some of that, take the good. That's what America really started out being, was taking the best from the best and coming up with a system that was best for the citizens, using the best of other countries. So, and somewhere I think we've lost that and become a team sport where, it's like, go Raiders, go Cowboys. And it's like, we don't care if the call that the referee or umpire is making is wrong, as long as it's on our side. I say we as a nation. It's certainly not the way I look at it. I really am so down the middle. It's unbelievable.
It's interesting that this comes up because I found this article not so long ago. There's a lot of stuff in this country which seems totally normal to us, but confuses the hell out of tourists that come here from other countries. And these are not necessarily the vast political differences that have everybody screaming and jumping up and down at the moment. But I thought it was kind of interesting just because it illustrates that there's so many things that you take for granted, that you just think this is the way it is, that seem completely foreign and alien to other folks. Like, cranking the air conditioning on full blast everywhere. Apparently, people come to this country and be like, why is it so cold all the time? Like, what would be wrong with a little nature pervading your life? And look, if you're like Randall and you're from Texas, the inventor of air conditioning is ostensibly someone that's up for sainthood or knighthood. Like, without that in the Deep South, you are in trouble, my friend. So I understand.
I'm okay with replacing Robert E. Lee's statue anywhere with that guy's statue.
The inventor of air conditioning.
Not necessarily for tearing down Robert E. Lee, but if you're talking about putting the dude who invented air conditioning up there, I'll rent the crane.
Our massive highways and the massive cars on them. That was one of the first things I noticed when I was a kid and I moved to England. I was like, the cars are all so tiny. They're like, what do you need? What do you need all that extra space for? I was like, I don't know, putting stuff in, large families, but like this sort of like must have a humongous car thing that It's not a distinctly American thing, but it started here. I mean, if you're Randall though, what 6'4"?
6'7".
So, wow. Forgive me.
No, I was 6'4" in the 8th grade. I understand.
Right. Yeah, gotcha. You know, when you probably started driving, you might have been 6'4", but you've always needed a little extra leg room. So the massive cars make sense for the massive Americans like you. This drives me freaking bananas. Restaurants serving water with ice cubes in it, even in the winter. See, I need an icy cube in my drink. And last time I went to Austria to visit my dad. He was having heart surgery. I had to go hang out with him. And I noticed whenever I was in a restaurant, I would ask for a drink, iced tea, soda, just water, and it would never have ice in it. And I would ask for ice and they would look at me like I was freaking out of my mind and then give me 2 cubes and act all impertinent. Is that an economic thing? Do people feel like they're getting cheated when there's too much ice in their drink in the rest of the world?
You know, I don't know, but you're tripping out because you've hit like 3 immediate like sources of irritation every single day with my wife.
See?
Because, you know, literally I'm in one room with an air conditioner and she stays in the other room where there is no air conditioning. And we just kind of cross paths during the day. Luckily my truck has dual controls. And, I mean, air conditioning is a constant source of irritation for us. She dresses like the winter time all the time. It's hilarious. And I don't understand why, you know, you people have to keep it so freezing. And then the ice she always ordered. I mean, I order for her a lot now, and I'm like, oh, I'll bring a Diet Coke with no ice or bring a whatever with no ice. She definitely does not drink ice. She doesn't understand why we do. And she's talked about it from one, she doesn't like the cold drink necessarily. And then also, you know, that it takes up all the space. She's like, you're not even getting any cola or getting any tea when you do that. So yeah. It's and the cars wise now. Actually, I'm sorry. That's not a source of irritation. She can't wait. She's got some friends coming over from Estonia in a few weeks, and they want to see Texas, and two of them are actually Russians, but they're all coming from England, your spot. So anyway, they're coming over, and she's so excited, and they're so excited because I'm going to drive them around Texas in my F-250 4-wheel drive truck, diesel, you know. And she's like, you just don't know. There's nothing like this over in Europe. So this is the coolest truck in the world. And, of course, we were in Texas with her family, and they thought it was the coolest truck in the world because we started in Hollywood. And we get to Texas. We're in Fredericksburg, Texas, you know, last year when they were here. And they're just raving about my truck. And then we pull into a Whataburger. And when we walk out, they couldn't even hardly tell my truck from the other trucks. Right. They're like, all the trucks look like yours. I'm like, that's because this is Texas.
Right. You know, it's interesting. On the flip side of something that we find to be completely alien, my father's SUV, which he bought, I can't remember what country he bought it in. He lives in Kosovo. I think he might have bought it in Greece. I'm not positive, but it's the European take on an SUV. I don't remember what it is, but it's an SUV you see on the road here in America at all times. But you know, because he bought it in Europe, things are a little different, like the steering wheel's on the other side. And not only that, there's a wine refrigerator in the glove compartment. Like here, they'll do absolutely everything they can to separate alcohol from driving. They've got like an actual, you know, like, well, we figured you need a wine fridge. And it's not like a super high end car. It's not like, you know, you think of someone that has a wine cellar or a wine fridge as being a little fancy. And it's you know, it's not a bucket or anything, but it's a fairly utilitarian vehicle. That's and as standard, there's a wine fridge in it.
that's the equivalent of the Texas version of a truck having a gun safe underneath the console and driving. I'm driving that thing in California.
Another thing people from foreign countries don't get, all the different flavors and varieties of foods like Oreos and Cheez-Its. Like, why do we need Swedish fish flavored Oreos? These things exist. I've eaten them. I love Swedish fish. I love Oreos. I've decided the two don't make a good combination, but like there's all these different flavors of absolutely everything. And people here, people that come here from foreign countries don't get it. Does Kate balk at different flavored foods?
You know, I think America's new slogan should be America because we can.
Right.
You know, because that answers pretty much everything. It's like, why are your highways so big? Because we can. You know, why do you have all these flavors? Because we can. I mean, we are the nation of excess. You know,
we are. We also, apparently, according to foreigners, have entirely too many commercial breaks. We are excessive with our commercial breaks during TV shows. Now, I don't really know who watches commercials because, well, actually, no, I do. I'm watching commercials for the first time in forever because I was just all streaming all the time, but I moved recently and got a new cable package, and I haven't had DVR in years. I thought it was clunky and weird, but this thing came with DVR, so I've been using it, which means I'm fast forwarding through the commercials, but inevitably fast forwarding through the commercials. And this is how lazy we've become as a society. I'm like, I can't be bothered to fast forward through the commercials. Yeah. I'll just go in the other room and do something until they're off.
I've gotten so good at mine where I know I can hit it 4 times, and as soon as it flashes up the TV PG, I can hit play, and it'll stop at the perfect time. And I get frustrated if I miss it, and I have to go back. But yeah, you know, the commercials, the less commercials in Europe, and the fact that they'll show boobs on regular TV. Had the roads and vehicles been bigger, I would have left here decades ago.
Oh, that's so good. You know, it's so funny because I remember when I moved to England as a kid, I was like, hold on a second. There's boobs on TV. And then I remember I was like, it's only 9 o'clock. And there's I've never seen that on a screen before. Like, it blew my young mind what they were doing on just normal television over there.
Yeah.
And then I remember at the time when I was a kid, the hot show was The A-Team. And people had a real problem with The A-Team because they're like, it's a cartoonish depiction of violence. You can't shoot at people with machine guns hundreds of times, have them flip their car. They're not just going to crawl out and be like, boy, my neck is going to be sore tomorrow, as always happened on The A-Team. Sure. And so like they were protesting the violence on The A-Team. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, they're fine with boobs, not okay with machine guns. In America, you can show all the machine guns you want, but do not, under any circumstances, in no way, shape, or form, must you show any form of female nipple on TV. And I was just like, yeah.
I gotta say,
as much as I
agree
like
with that. I agree with them on that. I agree that is a better protest. To allow nipples and to protest violence on TV makes way more sense than what we do in America. Now, however, I've come up with a healthy compromise. We show both in America, and then, that's the responsible thing to do, man.
Well, I don't know. I've always considered myself pro-boob and anti-violence, so it gelled well with my young sensibilities, and perhaps that's what built it for me. This used to drive me freaking bananas when I came back to America because I was not good at math. Price tags not including the tax in America. It feels so bait and switchy when you walk up with $5 as an 8-year-old and realize you can't afford it. More with Randal Reeder next.
You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
More AD on the radio.
back once again. The ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again. It's your boy AD and can't nobody rock a body.
So our guest on the show today is Randal Reeder, actor extraordinaire, and also a man who is married to a foreigner. Your Estonian wife, Kate. We've been talking about the differences between Americans and folks that come here from other countries and things that we just take for granted that absolutely have the rest of the world befuddled. And these are things like cranking the AC at all time. Having ice in every glass of liquid that is served at a restaurant. Price tags not including the tax. That drives me nuts. Like I'm an adult and I have $10 instead of $5. But in England and the rest of the world, the price tags include the tax, so you know exactly what you're in for. But if you're if you got $5 in your pocket as an 8-year-old and you're going to buy comic books and each one of them is $2.50 and you think you can, and you find out you don't have enough for both, it's mind numbing. And to this day, I don't understand why we don't do that.
Well, not only that, if you're going to do that, which is silly, I agree 100%. It should be included. I don't know why the people at the store wouldn't just do the damn math for us, but if you're going to do it that way, like at least round up or round down. I mean, if I were to, which my perfect tax system would be the fair tax system. It's a consumption tax. So no income tax, none of all this other garbage, just a straight up, 5 to 10%, whatever. Consumption tax. If I were to establish that as the king of America, I would do it at a 5 or 10%. I would never do a 7%. I would do something that's easy math, and I would gladly pay that extra 2.5% just for the easy math of going, let's see, $5.50. Yes, I'd have that.
Yeah. At least make the math easy to do. If you're gonna make us do math, make it easy to do. Don't put more steps between us and purchasing stuff. Yeah,
it's like, okay, wait, I'm in California because you're 8 years old. I'm in Arizona. There's a 7.834%. Okay, what is the math on that? And how do I split a penny? Anybody got a pair of channel locks? I mean, it's crazy. Like it's just so stupid. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. It really makes you feel like you're being lied to every time you pick up a candy bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't like to associate delicious candy with lies being told to me. It's two contradictory things.
But maybe we should. Maybe we do that because maybe someone in government said it's good that an 8-year-old realizes that everything in this country and the tax system is a lie. So let's just go ahead and get them started young, being confused, and maybe they're trying to make us tolerant. By the time we start paying taxes at 18, it's like, well, it's just confusing. I don't really know. I need to hire a CPA.
Yeah. Anytime you need to hire a third party to do something to communicate with your government, it indicates that there's a scam going on to me.
Pretty much.
What about the idea of tipping? Does Kate, your Estonian wife, is she okay with the concept of tipping? And I'm not implying in any way, shape, or form that she's
that quite
cheap.
Quickly. I don't know. Okay. Maybe it's like that in Australia. I don't think so. I know that in Europe it's not a big tipping thing. But she was a server and some of her jobs, and then like worked at hotels and stuff like that, and different things like that to get where she's at now. And so she seems to be really good with tipping. She doesn't have a problem with it. And I'm a pretty fat tipper too. Mm-hmm. Not just that I'm fat and I tip, but also I tip fatly. And she seems to be really. She never goes, "Oh, wait, why are you doing that?" So no, I think she's good with tipping. But that is a uniquely American thing, or I don't know about. It's certainly not a European thing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and the byproduct of that, servers who are working for tips makes them way more attentive. They're always asking, is everything okay? That, like, God freaking forbid, people complain about service here at restaurants. And you know what? It's represented in that little extra bit of cash that you leave on the table toward the end of it. And it's a weird transactional relationship between someone who's working and someone who is a customer that doesn't exist in the rest of the world.
I've never thought about it that way, but it's actually true capitalism. We are forcing that waiter or waitress to hustle, because they only make like $2 an hour or something crazy. And they actually, if you go in and you don't tip somebody on $100 check, I mean, it costs that waitress money. So,
Yeah.
Or waiter or whoever. So, I guess we are actually forcing them into, it's forced capitalism, but it does improve the product. It does improve that service. So, you know what? Tipping actually is a good proof for it validates capitalism.
I was attempting before I got into radio, I had a friend who was like a career restaurant type of person. Like he runs a kitchen now, but he was a waiter, and he did really, really well off of being a waiter. And it wasn't like he was a waiter at high-end restaurants. He said some of the best money he ever made was when he was a waiter at IHOP. I'm like, seriously? You made bank at IHOP? And like I did a week as a waiter, and I would spend like 14 hours on my feet and walk out of that place with $12. I'm like, evidently, I don't do this stuff right. And he's like, you got to free yourself from the idea of money. And I was like, what? He's like, it's not money. It's about, he's like, ultimately, people are hungry. I bring them food and they give me money because they're happy. It's a transaction of food and happiness. And the guy was rolling in it. And I have to believe that was solely because of his attitude, and also because he was a much better waiter than I was. I would forget things and not care. But the
memory helps.
Yeah, it really does. Caring, I find, helps as well. It was the caring part that I really fell down. I was like, oh, really? Your dipping sauce didn't come? What a freaking tragedy.
A forgetful, apathetic waiter doesn't make much tips.
Yeah, no, it's surprising that I didn't do better. But it's interesting because, like, I've heard both sides of this argument. I remember after I'd been in America for a little while, going back to England and being at a bar and just leaving like £1 on the table for the bartender. And the guy going, what's that? I'm like, that's tip. It's for you. He was like, oh, yeah, no, I don't need that. Like, I own this place. I make plenty of money. I'm like, yeah, but still, it's a principle of the thing. He's like, no. He was like, I make enough money doing this, and everybody that works for me makes enough money doing this, that you don't have to do that. And I was like, right. But, what about, laissez-faire capitalism and the desire to achieve more? He was like, just take the pound back.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So we are fortunate enough to be joined on the show today by Randal Reeder, our friend. You know him from Grandma's Boy, Harold and Kumar, Deadpool, Walker TX Ranger, King of the Hill, Idocracy, and a whole bunch more. And there's a little bit of a film controversy that is about to jump off with regard to the new Joker movie. We're going to talk about that because, well, that is now Randal's world. He is now indisputably a part of nerd nobility, having been in Deadpool. And we'll get to it right after we talk about this one last thing that people from other countries have a problem with when they come to America. Our money.
What's that?
All of our money being the same size and mostly the same color throws people for a loop here. And, I gotta say, they have a valid point, because, like, if you go to England, bills, or notes, as they're called, like a £5 note and a £10 note, look completely different, are completely different colors, and vary in size, so that when you're opening up your wallet, you don't have to look as hard to figure out what it is you're pulling out of it. And I remember English people telling me, why's all the money the same size and color in America? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, how do you tell it apart? I was like, well, there's a 1 on some bills, a 5 on another bill, a 20 on other bills, and so on and so forth. And that tends to be a pretty good indicator. And they're like, yeah, but it takes forever. You got to stop and look at the stuff. It's not very good use of our time. I was like, I never thought of that.
And it's totally, it's inconsiderate to blind people.
That actually, Actually, I think I heard that argument when I was in England because the coins are all different sizes and different shapes. Like the 50 pence piece, their version of a 50-cent piece. Is all sorts of jagged with angles, as is the 20 pence piece. And I think part of that exists so that blind people could tell their coinage apart back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, certainly can a bill. I think the only thing I can say is that like British money, foreign money does not look as good in a Vegas roll as our money. I mean,
Right.
really, a stack of hundreds in a money clip in America looks real sexy.
Also, I guess if you're going to the strip club and you're making it rain, like if all your money looks exactly the same, they're not going to be judging you for being a cheap ass, like, because they can't tell exactly how much you're throwing on the stage. Whereas in England, they don't have, I think they did away with a pound note like a long time ago. They thought like it was a silly piece of currency to have. They kept the 2 pence piece, like keep the tuppence, do away with the pound note.
Wow.
That's clearly frivolous.
I bet Ben Franklin had to do with that because he was a big owner of the strip clubs in Philly.
Well, here's the thing. The pound note went away and it got replaced by the pound coin, which is kind of a heavy coin. And I was like, I've never been to a strip club in England, but if they don't have the pound notes anymore, like instead of making it rain, do they make it hail instead? Like, is it a baller on a budget?
That's hilarious. Then the strippers have to have hail insurance.
Right. Well, it's England, so it's covered by the National Health Service, but you're going to be waiting longer for a hospital bed when you get pegged in the face by a pound coin. Okay.
That's true.
All right. So nerd movie controversy that is about to explode here with the insider take on it.
Here?
Well, there's a new Joker movie in the works. Who's the most recent Joker? That would have been Jared Leto. But here's the deal, Randall. I don't know if you know about this. Warner Brothers and DC Comics have a new Joker movie in the works, but it will not star Jared Leto, who played him in Suicide Squad. Jared Leto as a Joker, yes or no?
I liked him. I mean, I argue with people constantly. I mean, the closest of friends and partners, Wayne did not like Joker at all. Jared Leto as Joker at all. Thought it was hacky, thought it was this, that, and unoriginal. And I'm like, man, I don't get it. I love that depiction of Joker personally. So I don't know.
See, did you grow up reading comic books?
No, that's the thing. The comic, everybody that I know that hated Jared Leto in it are all comic book nerds. And, Wayne has a whole library room of comic books and video games and all that. And no, so I didn't. So, I'm new to this comic book world.
See, when I first saw the pictures of Jared Leto as Joker, I was like, oh, there you go. That's the choice. And they made it. Apparently, Jared Leto as the Joker, the depiction is not that far different from your standard juggalo. Like it looked like the Joker was an Insane Clown Posse fan. And I was like, I could kind of see how they might have that futuristic take on the Joker. All right, yeah, maybe I could go with this. And then I actually saw the movie, and I was like, hold on. Like the defining characteristic of the Joker is his smile, his rictus smile. The idea is that the muscles have been pulled so tight around his face that he can't stop from smiling. And he also laughs perpetually. And Jared Leto spent lots of Suicide Squad not laughing or smiling. I was like, that's all right. Yeah, right there. You're kicking us right in the childhood. You're kicking us right in the canon and the mythology of what the Joker is supposed to be by having, like the frown on your face. Like Joker's not frowny. He's the Joker. But you know what? As much as I want to give Jared Leto a hard time for it, it was a choice that was made by everybody that was part of the production. So
sure. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like you can sit there and go, "Well, Jared Leto must just suck," because he's far from sucks. I mean, he's pretty incredible at whatever he does. But yeah, I guess I never really thought of it that way. Again, I didn't really understand. I didn't know who the Suicide Squad was or any of this until so I went and saw it, and I was like, dude, that was awesome. And then people are like, arguing, and no, it wasn't. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't have a childhood of imagination, that is countering, so.
Well, and this is kind of interesting. Apparently, what the folks over at DC want to do is they want to make smaller movies that stand apart from like the big interconnected universe that includes stuff like Batman versus Superman and Wonder Woman and Justice League. And then on the Marvel side, the Avengers and all of the offshoots. It seems like everything is forever connected, and they want to be able to make movies that are just standalone one-off things. Yeah. And it's interesting when you look at how the Marvel universe has developed. Like they kind of painted themselves into a corner a little bit where, eventually they're going to have to kill someone off and reboot the whole thing. And is this Spider-Man part of the Avengers universe? And it gets a little complicated and tough where they've got a winning franchise, but they know that its time is running out. It's a weird one.
Yeah, it's a wild, that's such a muddled world, the comic world and the superhero world. It's so crazy, and then different companies on the rights, and it gets pretty wild.
Well, this one could be good. Also, okay,
who's
like if you're
Joker?
a comic, let's see, they're trying to. I don't think they have a Joker picked out, actually, or at least it doesn't say here that they do. So they know they basically just know it's going to be not Jared Leto at this stage in the game. Now, one thing that's really, really interesting about the idea of this movie, if it winds up being what it's supposed to be, is the origin of the Joker. Who he is has always been a massive mystery. Like that TV show Gotham has this character that's supposed to be either a progenitor of Joker or he's supposed to be the Joker. Nobody can really figure it out. But as much as it's interesting to see the origin of the Joker, possibly, a lot of people are going, hold on just a second. The not knowing where Joker came from, how he got to be who he is, who his parents were, what he was brought up doing, all this stuff. The not knowing, the mystery of the origin of the Joker has been one of the most enduring parts of the character since back in the day when he was first introduced to the comic book world years and years and years and years ago. And this movie, and this is why people are a little bent out of shape about it. This movie would tell the Joker's origin story, and it would be set in Gotham City in the early 80s. And
so you're saying ignorance is bliss?
Well, it's like the mystery is part of the terror of that. It's the not knowing that I think makes Joker scarier. Like if you could go, well, he's angry because this happened to him in his childhood, or there was this idea that he was a failed nightclub comic and he just went crazy and started killing everyone because no one was laughing at his jokes. There was that idea, but that was never confirmed. It was an interesting one. And there's all this different sort of like speculation. Was he the guy that originally killed Bruce Wayne's parents? Some people have gone with that idea. Was he this character, the Red Hood, before he became the Joker and truly rose to power? All this stuff has been sort of like question marks. And the questions somehow add to the mythology of the character and make him that much more scary. I guess the unknown is scary. And you're looking at undoing some of that.
Wow. I wonder if his last name's Trump. I mean, wouldn't that be...
here we were dancing around politics for the longest time, and bazinga.
Hollywood may do that just to make him really scary.
Funkhauser, how much time do we have left? Because can open worms everywhere.
We're dangerously close. We got like 2 minutes here, maybe.
Okay, all right. Bearing in mind we got like 2 minutes before we're done, Randall.
Well, just
Trump,
rewind.
yes.
I said that. Who was your favorite Joker?
My favorite Joker? Oh wow! Look how you got me straight out of it, knowing that the clock is ticking. For me, I'm gonna guess that it was probably Jack Nicholson. Like I like that campy portrayal of it. Like I thought the Heath Ledger one was amazing. Heath Ledger was amazing, but it's just Jack Nicholson. Not my favorite version of Batman, not my favorite Batman movie, but it's really hard not to like Jack Nicholson. You know what I mean?
In anything. Jack Nicholson in anything is pretty much your favorite anything, probably. I mean, he's incredible.
So, all right, you're not going to wriggle out of this. We got a minute left. Trump, yes, no, maybe.
You know, probably a solid maybe. Well, leaning towards yes, just because he's who we got. You know, I don't really have a choice.
Right. There is that aspect of not having choice in the matter anymore. The choice part passed last November.
You know, he is our president. He says stupid stuff. I mean, there's just so much. We could just talk for hours and hours about the negative things about him. But, you know, I ultimately, I think what's really horrifying is how everyone is blocking him and coming against him in both parties, and just all of, you know, at some point, you know, my common sense has to kick in and say, let's see, if everybody I loathes this guy, maybe he's not so bad.
Interesting.
You know? I mean, it's wild. I mean, they're just completely obstructionists on every single corner, coming against him in every way. The media, everyone, and of course, you know, some people, especially my liberal friends, will go, "Well, yeah, that's because he's that horrible." I'm like, I don't think so. I think that it's a hatchet. It's a hatchet job, the biggest hatchet job we've ever seen.
Interesting. Well, we'll have Randal Reeder back, and we'll talk about more of this.
That's how he says it.
Yeah. That being said, there's stuff.